Hey guys, Kendall, and I'm from Worthing on the south coast of the UK, and I am a brand new as can be, fresh out the box, newbie when it comes to codes, and I put myself up and committed to 100 days of code. This is day two, or dos, or however you say it in other languages, day two of 100 days of code, and I've committed to doing a video every single day, which I have never done before. So please bear with. Um, the whole thing of 100 days of code is number one rule is to code 1 hour a day. So every day you're going to code for at least 1 hour. And I'm fortunate because I'm coupling this with a coding boot camp, an amazing one here in the UK called School of Code. Shameless plug, www.schoolofcode.com. Amazing boot camp. I'm on day two so far, and it has been absolutely amazing. Okay, rule number two of the 100 Days of Code is to keep yourself accountable publicly. So here I am, publicly. I'm going to share this on Twitter. People will watch it. They may not watch it, but at least I keep myself accountable and I can look back on my progress and see what I've done. Number three, connect with the community of Twitter is the third one. So I'm going to be committing to connect with my community by retweeting, by sharing my contents, and all these good things to make friends and contacts and collaborate. Four is to keep a daily log of my progress, my emotions, my feelings, ups and downs, all arounds, merry-go-rounds, whatever it is. Going around a mountain again, whatever it is. So, today has been day two of my School of Code boot camp. And so day two of 100 of the days of code. Today we sort of began day two with what we always do at the boot camp with squats. So if nothing else, I'm going to have amazing legs by the end of this. And maybe even have footballer legs. Who knows? Who knows? But the other thing, they have really cool theme music in School of Code. It's hilarious. You'll be doing like squats before the chorus. And it's so funny. It's so funny, the music that they come out with while you're squatting. And you got to be there to see it, but it is hilarious. Sometimes you break into laughter because all of a sudden it'll be coding, or it'll say something like that, or time to code, or whatever it is. It's really funny. So squats, cool theme music. So far, so good. One of the things that was spoken about today is we spoke about sort of throughout the day there was this theme that Chris and Dr. Chris Mia, which he spoke about, the founder of School of Code, he always shares this thing about staying humble. So in the midst of sort of one of the things I learned today, and I learned yesterday, is no matter how old you are, or what background you come from, or what work experience you have, or maybe the pride you have in yourself, or maybe the pride you have in all the things you've accomplished. The main thing when you're learning something new or learning code is to stay humble and to learn like a toddler. Like a child learns and just takes everything in and doesn't mind failing and just gets up with like cheer and abandon and just sort of just gets on with it, right? And don't be afraid to fail. So stay humble. Don't get prideful, which you definitely get continually humbled in the process of School of Code and learning code. Coding is not easy, but if you persevere and you keep with the mindset you're going to learn and you're going to get it, you will eventually. It'll click. It'll come. It'll come. So he spoke about as well things like computational thinking. We went over that again, of sort of breaking down big problems into little small problems. So we went into that a little bit more depth. And we basically, this is something that's a theme. I spoke about it in video one, but in video two today, it was just re-emphasized, and I know it's something that Chris has said that he's going to talk about over and over again, is sort of that, it's all about taking a big problem and putting it into little manageable problems. And he said that's why a lot of coders, they get like this sort of godlike complex that they can solve any problem in the world. Because obviously you get this mindset of being able, like, I can get really close to any solution. And that's what we are as coders. We're not just code monkeys, as he's put it, but we're actually those that solve problems. And we can find out the syntax, we can find out the language by Google. Google's our friends, right? There's a running joke in coding communities, and as we shared today, that really all code comes from Google, right? You just Google everything. Most developers know you just Google everything, and you have to be really good at Googling things. And so really, you just have to be able to solve the problem and break it down into small things. And then, use things. Don't reinvent the wheel, but sort of use what's already there and creates a solution from what's already there. And of course, use your creativity, use your ingenuity, all these sort of things. But there's no need to reinvent the wheel when there's things like Stack Overflow and things that have already been released that already work and aren't broken. And if it ain't broke, don't try and fix it, right? So, computational thinking, breaking down big problems into small ones. Today we had another opportunity. In the last couple of days, we've been learning how to work collaboratively. So we had opportunities to meet up with my partner in codes. We called our group Code Addicts because we love coding and we're addicted to it. And we decided this is our new addiction, this is our new flavor. So, anyways, so we did that. We got together, and one of the problems we had to solve was we had to open up a website like Amazon or Netflix and say, okay, well, not like what's the code in it, although we did learn about developer tools and like going into developer tools and looking and seeing how it's put together and where the elements lie and what code goes with what. But really, that when you look at a site like Netflix or Amazon, it's not looking at the whole site being like, oh no, how am I going to do this? But actually breaking it down into smaller chunks. So for example, if you go to like the Amazon website and you look at the top, you look at the header, right? The top part is like a big box, and you can break it down into little mini sections in that big box of the header. So you can break it down in the logo and the search bar and the contact details on the right, and you can lay that out and then break it down into smaller problems, and then before you know it, you've done the header, and then you can move on to the next section. And there's things that they've done in these sites that are repeatable patterns that they did over and over again. Like there's like it links back to what they talked about with yesterday about Disney, how Disney between, I think it was Jungle Book and Winnie the Pooh, they use the same animation structure underneath for Winnie the Pooh they did for the Jungle Book, and all they did is they laid over a skin of Winnie the Pooh or the Jungle Book. And in the same way, when you use something like Netflix or Amazon, there may be blocks that look the same, and you might be able to repeat that or make it continue repeatedly rather than recreate it one after another after they're breaking it all down. But just copy and paste and sort of do it that way. So things of those sort of things. We also did today in pairs. We did these things called we did the CSS koala. So we learned in CSS and styling, not like the whole thing, but we learned how to look at something that was a koala and had a blue background. And what we had to do is we had to recreate it. And so we had to learn how to make boxes into half crescents, and we had to learn how to sort of make squares into circles and how to bring them all together and then create a koala, which is awesome. Today we also went through GitHub basics, and GitHub is a version control system so that you can take what's locally stored on your computer where you have your files, and basically you might, so for example, when we went on the GitHub is a website that coders use to keep track of all the versions of what they do and to collaborate on different things. But with GitHub, what you can do is you can clone a repository or like a storage system that has all the files you want in it. You can download them to your computer, and somebody who you're working with can clone, and they could bring down the exact same files on their system. And then what they can do is then you have all these commands you can use. So you might have, for example, I might have coded something to add something to that shared page or that shared repository or that shared place on GitHub. And we are collaborating. So I've added this other person on the other side who has it locally on their machine. And then what happens is I can do something called git push, and then it takes my version and it puts it on there. And then the person on the other side, then they can get pull, and they can pull it back down. And if they add anything, then I can get pull down theirs. And then we all have the latest versions, and we all have the updated versions, and it's super cool. So we demonstrated this today by doing a GitHub poem. So for example, I might put something and add it in, and then the other person, which in my case is a guy called Jaden, who's awesome. What's up, Jaden? And then he'll add something on there as well. So those are some of the things that we went through today, just to update you and hold myself accountable to things that I've done and things that. How did I feel about the whole thing? My thoughts, my feelings. I'm not gonna lie, it was tough. It was tough because we're all trying to like draw this stuff from our minds, trying to like, come on, because we had to, sort of do this in our stage 2 learning. We had this hurdle we had to overcome, and we had to submit these tasks before we joined. But, sort of drawing on this sort of things and trying to draw from your mind bank things that, you're not used to using all the time. It was definitely challenging, but, we'll get there. We'll get there. And the more we do this, the more we repeat these processes, the more we do them daily discipline, it will be reinforced, and it'll be like second nature. We'll get it. We'll get there together. It was challenging, though. It was tough. And there were times where you felt a bit like, you felt that whole thing which we talked about, imposter syndrome, right? You felt like, you're like, man, can I do this? Can I do this? Your mind says this, right? But you can. We can. And the thing is, we both encourage each other, and we just kept pushing through. And that was the whole thing we spoke about again, is that, your adrenaline can get you so far, but when you're with another person, it just motivates you that much more, where you just press in and you say, no, we can solve this. And actually, a lot of these problems are not like rocket science. A lot of the things that you're getting stuck on are pretty easy. And sometimes it's worth just starting over. And so many times we just started over with the problem, started from the beginning, erased everything, and just began again. So felt a bit of resistance today, but hey, it's been an amazing day. I love School of Code. I love 100 Days of Code. Day 2 has been absolutely epic and awesome, and I can't wait for day 3. So that's my day 2 updates. All the love in the world to my fellow boot campers on Boot Camp 12 of School of Code. For anybody interested in going on School of Codes and doing a free boot camp for 16 weeks, www.schoolofcode.com. Be there or be square. It'll change your life. I believe it's going to change mine, and I believe it can change all of those who are on the course. So all the best. We're going to get there together. And hey, look forward to seeing you on day 3.